he felt that I'm going to take retribution, and then you're going to pay for rejecting me. That's how I turned it. Yes, go ahead, brother.
A thought just came to my mind. You know how the generation changed, how manhood changed.
Sure.
I feel like a womanhood is changing as well. And
Yeah.
I say this because women's needs need to be met by what we're talking about right now.
Yes.
But they haven't been getting that. So
That's right.
now you see a generation of females lowering their standards.
Lowering their standards. That's right.
So now they don't really care about the intimacy.
They don't. Some of them don't. Some of them don't.
I say some of them don't. I say some of them don't, but some of them do.
Yeah.
But I think it's a chain reaction.
Yes, it is.
I think it is inherent. So
it is.
When they really do see a guy talking about her feelings or your personal experience, stuff like that, she really ain't being in tune to it because she took her mind off.
There you go. And I'm glad you said that, brother, because if you are a real gentleman, because that's very loosely used, a gentleman, and know how to treat a woman, you get a woman that has not been treated, like you were just saying, or not in tune because they have not grown up or the environment has changed so much, they're not used to the gentleman being a gentleman to them. They don't know nothing about it. So that gentleman treats her like a woman, she don't know how to appreciate it. And then what happens is, that's when that man, if he comes in a gentleman, he gets rejected, and say as he's been getting rejected for so long, he may turn the table on her and become dead. Okay. You see what I'm saying? And that's how it works. All right, so let's get into this. We're going to get into the Hala Vista murders, the mass murders, and I think this is going to be a very powerful section. And I thank the Good Men Project for basically doing the story, and I just took bits and pieces out of it, and I'm just elaborating more from my personal experience and over my 30 years in ministry, or what I've learned and through things I've read and all things. I put that all together into this one thing, on this one message, so we can get this across. So let's get into this tonight and deal with this. I'm going to start off with this. So far, much of the media responses to the spree killing that took place in Hala Vista, California, has focused on the sole perpetrator of the attacks, 20-year-old Elliot Roger. His rantings mean, he was going off, where he excavates women and promises retribution. Mass shootings are becoming increasingly common in the United States. We hear about them every week. And I told you, if you're listening to this, this will never ever stop. You will never hear mass killing stop. It ain't gonna happen. Why? Because men are constantly being rejected. We don't know how to communicate. So all we know is violence. So, and we're gonna talk about this next week on our broadcast about when a man's man card has been revoked or rejected. And what that means is, if his job has been taken from him, whether he has family problems, financial problems, it could be material things that may have been taken from him, or whatever, that's his man card. And when that man card has been taken from you by force, or your pride has been hurt because of the man card being rejected, or a girlfriend turning you down or letting you go, then the only thing we know is violence, because that's all wrapped around our pride. And if it's wrapped around our pride, then the only way we know how to defend our pride is through violence, to show the world that we are a man, and these are things that you're going to suffer, because since you did this to me, you're going to pay for what you have done to me. Same thing with Elliot Roger. Same thing. All right. Bam, that's powerful. All right. In the United States of the they appear to be random acts of violence, and explain the perpetrator's act. The media often focuses on, and this is true, on the psychology of the individual. Also, they may say it's Asperger's syndrome, they may say it's depression, or a failure to treat these illnesses through medication. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Ain't got nothing to do with it. Now, I'm not saying that there are no medical issues dealing with people. It could be, but the main ground point of this is that men are being rejected, have not been taught how to be men, and then all these things from the past, as a child, and obviously they may have suffered up to that point, it's all building up to that point.
So basically what you're saying, the crimes and the men's men are just a sit.
Yes!
And so the source is really what the issues for how they deal with rejection.
Yes. And all the things, all the traumatic issues that they may have suffered up to that point, it's all rooted in that. That's the things that we're looking at. Those are just the symptoms. That's not the real issue. That's not the root. You know what I'm saying?
Leaders or officials, I'm gonna take a step back. we have to understand that society been doing this for over 200, 300 years, creating this man box.
Oh yeah.
So we have to understand that they create our education for what we want to know or what we think things to be. But we got to understand that certain things like this really a science.
Yes.
And I say that because they want us to know what they want us to know.
Yeah.
In actuality, when they say that somebody's acting crazy, 9 out of 10 people are like, oh, put him in the psych.
Yeah.
But in actuality, that's not really what he needs. It's just something that's deep down in his life
that needs to be pulled out.
That needs to be pulled out. He needs to talk about stuff like that.
Yes. And he's not going to talk to people in those type of settings. If we put him in a mental institution, he may need another brother to love him and to let him know that I'm here for you, brother, that you can talk to me, you can trust me. And if he's able to, and a man will, if a man feels safe around another brother to talk, then that's the greatest relief a brother can have. If he feels this brother cares about me that much, because see, we're more in competition against one another than anything else. When we found a real brother that we can sit down and talk to and release that, man, that's good God Almighty. That's right. That's more important really than having a woman talk to us, because even though we love the women in our lives, but that's not going to solve our problems as being a man. It's not going to solve the problem. So that's the key, and I'm glad you looked at that, Brother Dwight. It's so powerful. All right, let's continue. We're going to do B, and then we're going to get down to this. I'm hoping y'all enjoying this. We continue to miss one crucial, much larger social factor. These crimes are almost always committed by men. You hear that? Always committed by men. 9 times out of 10 is a man that's committing these crimes. What's more, many of these men are well-spoken, white, educated, and many are heterosexual, meaning they like women or they love women. All right? Anything, Brother Dwight?
Only thing I can draw from that statement is the conclusion that it doesn't matter your job title.
That's right.
Or where you work at.
Yes.
That does not solve your issue.
That's right.
And most women today, they think when a guy in a great position or making 6 figures, they're like, well, he got everything together, but no, he really mentally emotional.
No, we don't. 9 times out of 10 men don't. None of us do. But we put that mask on what we have. There we go back to that man card again. And we're going to talk about next week. If he has that man card that says, this man card entitles you to, since you have these things, you're entitled to this man card because you have these things. But let one of those things get taken away from him, you got some problems.
So another thing, from that statement, can you draw the conclusion that we live in a materialistic country? Like they try to make it seem like use this to get that.
Sure.
Instead of using the character or the skills that really God put inside you, which is be able to connect with people physically, mentally, and emotionally, and spiritually.
Yes, I agree with that. Yes. All right. Let's read. Indeed, in the black words, and I want you to read all these black words here in the black talent. Those are the words of Elliot Rodger. I want you to read those, and these are very important.
Women have more power in human society than they deserve.
Okay.
There is no creature more evil and deprived than the human female. If I can't have them, no one will.
What does that mean to you, brother?
That sounds like he is very at this point is hatred.
Yes, we talked about that. Remember how we can go from isolation to depression to hatred. Because if we're not getting what we want as a man, or we feel that we're entitled to, the things that we do, we talked about this in the masturbation thing. We get that fantasy in our mind. We get the fantasy because the woman is available at us at any time. We can turn on the television, we can turn on our computer, look at porn. That woman is always available to us, and she can't reject us. But once we get to a point where the woman is rejecting us, the isolation, the depression, and then the hatreds come because he's not getting it. Here it is.
So now that he had a point in hatred, he just want to take it out on.
There you go. Yes. And he wants some females to suffer the same way he suffers physically. You see that? Do you see the correlation?
I do.
Because if he's being hurt, or if he not just Elliot Rodger, any man in that situation, and all of us can get there if we let those guards down, and we're not in our right mind to prevent those things, because we're not exempt. Okay. Don't think any man is exempt. No, none of us are exempt. But if we have been rejected over a period of time, we have been abused, or certain things from childhood up to a certain point, we can only take so much, brother. And once we get to a position where we can't take no more and we feel that we're entitled to something, that's when it happens. That's why burglaries happen, that's why murders happen, robbing banks, all this other stuff that we think that we're entitled to because we didn't have it when we was younger and we want it. We go, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. All right, turn over. Let's go to number 1. I want you to read number 1 and then read down to all the way down to 2 in the Black Italian.
In his writing, Roger also spoke of years of being bullied.
There it is.
Wow. He described himself as a dork.
A dork.
I'm sorry, a dork.
Or a nerd.
Who no one liked.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And he was jealous of other guys with good looks and blonde hair.
Yes.
He also felt physically inferior because he was shorter and less muscular than other guys.
Yes.
As he became increasingly withdrawn, Roger's rage towards women grew.
Yes.
So he not facing the issue, but I'm gonna keep on.
Yes. But you see how the snowball effect happens.
So it's basically he's sitting there manipulating himself by isolation and making worse that it is going out and just deal with it. If I can't have you girls, I will destroy you.
Yes.
I'll take great pleasure to slaughter and order you. You will finally see that I am in truth the superior one, true alpha male.
Yes.
Wow. Dangerous and narrow definition of masculinity.
Yes.
Or sweeping into man's lives. Impacting on how some young men compare themselves with other men, and this have negative effects on their experience life. And this has negative effects on how they experience life.
Yes.
Rogers' manifesto read, there were 2 groups of cool public kids.
Yes.
They all seemed so confident and aggressive. I felt so intimidated by them, and I hated them for it.
Yes.
But I had to increase my standing with them. They were obnoxious jerks, and yet somehow it was these boys who got all the girls who wanted to flock to.
Yes.
They flocked to the alpha male, to the boys who appeared to have the most power and status.
Yeah. What does that mean to you, brother? What does that say to you? The statement that he made about his past.
Wow. So he looked at by him comparing himself
To other guys.
to other males, to other guys, he felt it was with him no chance. He compared his skills and his qualities and weakness against their strength.
There it is. There it is.
He didn't take part of their weakness as well. So when he compared his weakness, let me slow down. He aware of his strength and his weakness, but he only see the display of the strength of the other guy. So he had more information about himself than other people about. He didn't see what he seen, so he compared himself to them like, well, I don't fit those characteristics, I don't have. So he labeling himself less fortunate than what he really is.
And that's how the enemy defeats us. That's how Satan defeats us through our thinking.
That's right.
If he feels that that's where your weaknesses is, he's gonna play on that. It makes you feel less than. If you feel that you're not better than other guys, Satan is gonna always put those images in your mind. He's gonna always bring something in front of you to make that thought deeper and deeper, to sink you deeper into depression.
Wow.
That's what happens. That's what happens. All right. But no boy or man can ever uphold all requirements of masculinity because masculinity isn't real. And what do we mean by that? It isn't real because it's not being taught. Masculinity is real, but until we are taught the principles of masculinity or manhood, which first is we have to learn how to reject passivity, 2, accept responsibility, 3, lead creatively, and 4, accept God's greater reward. Those are the principles of masculinity and manhood. All right, those are the biblical principles of that. And if you aren't being taught those things, you ain't gonna know what masculinity is. So if you don't know what it is, you already through. You're done. All right, let's go to. We gotta go through all these, brother. Let's read 4, 5, and 6, brother.
When feelings such as these aren't dealt with, and when no other option appears available, mass killing, and often suicide.
Yes, here it is.
Elliot Rogers' retribution attack killed 7 people,
Yes.
including the perpetrator,
Yes.
and left 13 wounded.
Yes.
Wow. And his videos, wasn't one that says videos.
That's right, he had video. Yes.
He made numerous reference to his expensive taste,
Yep.
glasses, clothes, and cars. He couldn't understand why these powerful attributes were appealing to girls.
What did he just tell you? That's his man card. That's his man card. What is it? It wrapped around, what did you say?
His expensive taste,
Okay, taste dealing with, I mean,
clothes,
yes,
cars.
there it is. That's us as men. That's our man card. And those 4 or 5 things that you just said there, that paints a picture of what a man is supposed to be, quote unquote, per the world. And if you don't have those things, you're not a man.
That's right. And I'm glad that we're gonna keep going, because I think everything that's gonna be it's going back.
That's right.
Those 2 statements.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, brother.
So cultivate effect, image, and ideas
Yes.
from advertisement,
Yeah.
fashion,
Uh-huh.
movies, beers, video games, and men's magazines.
Yes.
Creates the belief that masculinity must be important and real.
Yes.
Rogers writes extensively about how he became obsessed with feeling inferior.
Yes.
It was only when he was playing video games like Hello that he felt a sense of belonging.
That's right. All right. So it just tells you right there. That's how the mass murders happen, people. You got to realize the root, not the symptoms. You don't go to the doctor. When you go to the doctor's office, the doctor always asks you, what are your symptoms, so he can get to the root of the problem. So you don't go into a doctor's office, you tell him there's some symptoms, he put a band-aid on your leg and say, just take some action and call me in 2 weeks. He don't do that. He wants to know what's causing the problem. You have an ache in your stomach or a pain in your leg or your head or whatever it may be. He wants to know, what are you feeling? Or he may lay you down on the table and press here or press there or wherever the pain is. He said, does it hurt here? So he can find out what the problem is. There it is. And if we don't address the problem, the root of it, it will never stop. And mass murders will not stop. They're going to continue until the end of this world, because we are not taught how to be men. We are not taught about masculinity. We are not taught how to relate to one another. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. When it happens, you turn on television again. You hear, and it don't have to be this mass murder, it can be murders in the street. Anywhere across this country, you hear of somebody getting shot by a young man, black or white, it don't matter. Why it's happened. These are the issues and the reason why it happens, because if that man's pride has been hurt, or he feels that his man card has been taken from him and his pride has been compromised, that's when the violence is going to start, and that's when the bodies are going to start building up.
It goes to a statement, you know how most people may know somebody, say somebody, they've been in class with somebody, and this person, they was in that class, like, wow, we didn't know that he'd go out and do that. Again, you may see a person every day. That's why they say you never know what's going on inside a person.
That's right. And mainly a man.
And one thing that I like how the teacher that she's addressing is that now that they starting an education thing where stop focus on the education so much. Focus on the social factor, what we just talked about. Learn how to teach them how to communicate, teach them how to talk, teach them how to interact with others. There's a teacher that was on the news that she started to do that for, I think, her 3rd grade.
Right.
Okay. And I think that's a good method what they're doing.
Okay. All right, brother. Let's go on, and we're gonna close out in a few minutes. Let's go to number 3, rejection and revenge. Rejection and revenge.
As a man, based on gender alone, you will experience rejection far more than any woman ever will.
Yes.
In sports, in career, education, in personal relations, and with the opposite sex.
Yes.
You will statistically experience more rejection than a woman. That understanding isn't intended to wave the male power banner or make men the champions of virtue.
Yes.
Neither is it to presume women don't experience rejection.
Yes.
It is a simple observation or fact that rejection is an integral aspect
Yes.
of being a male.
That's right.
Get used to it.
That's right. So that just tells you, men, don't think that rejection is going to stop. It's going to continue to come. But it's how you react to that rejection which is going to determine your